Yes, yes. Everybody Loves Raymond 360 live. Here we are talking to you about all things Everybody Loves Raymond. Tom Caltabiano here. Telling everybody that we are live. I am excited about that. Make a few adjustments here. Turn this here. Yes, let me plug in my microphone so you'll hear a change. There we go. Let's do that. The mic is not plugged in. Hold on. Don't go away, everybody. We'll do this and enjoy the delightful blue backdrop. All right, here we go. There we go. Okay, now, hello, everybody. Hello. Hello, Donnell. There we go. Can everybody hear me okay? Hello, Karen in Plymouth. Yes. Good. Hello. Hello, everybody. Today I'm very excited about today's session. Let me know if I sound too loud, but I think I should sound good. Hello, Karen. Hello, Karen. Two Karens. Yes. Hello, everybody. Yes. Hello, Bobby in Hawaii. Hello, New York City, Sully. Good to see all of the fans of Everybody Loves Raymond. Hello from Norway. Hello, Anna in Maryland. If you're Italian, you would pronounce it Anna. But if you're in Maryland, I'm guessing Anna. Bridget is there in Everybody Loves Raymond reboot. Not as far as I can tell right now, but you will hear it here first. Hello, West Palm Beach, Florida. Hello, everybody. So, this week, do you sleep in a suit jacket? Interesting question. Do you sleep in a suit jacket? I don't know. Do you sleep in a suit jacket? Seems restraining. Love the show. Leslie, love the show. Still makes me laugh. Hello, Jerry. Hello, Sandra. Hello. So many people. So many great fans. So I posted a few photos from the season 3 finale, which is How They Met. So that's, I don't know. Let's see. The first year was Why Are We Here? You guys will know the second year flashback. Was that potentially when Ray's parents got separated and Ray broke his arm? That would be my guess, but I could be wrong. And then season 3 finale, and Phil and Ray always try to do a flashback episode. It's a divicey thing potentially, so you don't want to go to the well too much, but I think Everose Raymond did it just the right amount. And I, as people who have watched here, have noted, because I've said it a couple times, when the show ended, when Everose Raymond ended, I was walking on stage, as I was wont to do all the time, and the props person had cases and cases of scripts. And I asked her, what are you doing with these? And she said, they're going in the dumpster. And so I said, okay, well, I think I'm going to take them, not knowing that Instagram or YouTube, although YouTube was just coming around then, or Facebook, it was pre-Facebook, not knowing that I could share anything with people from everywhere around the world. So now, for the first time ever, I've dug into that, what do I want to say, gold mine of memories from Everybody Loves Raymond, and I've dug out, which we will look into it in a little bit. I was just going to give out. This is a props script. This is How They Met, and I know the writing is backwards, but trust me, that's what it says. How They Met. And inside of here are it's the shooting day script and the Polaroids from every prop. Now, for those of you that have been following here, you know that I have them from the wardrobe department. So there are Polaroids in between every scene, and it's not as a keepsake, it's for continuity. For wardrobe, you have to know, okay, was Ray's collar up in one take? If so, we have to put it down for the next take, or we have to keep it up. Whatever they needed to know. And this was pre-iPhone. The show ended in 2005. The iPhone came out in 2007. And so people didn't necessarily have a digital means of taking pictures, so therefore they took Polaroids, the super high-tech instant camera mechanism of the time, which I know is making a resurgence. So these prop photos, and I think I've mentioned before, the prop masters, they're called, the head of the property department is Rhonda Robinson, who is not on Instagram, really. So we can't talk to her yet unless she figures out a way to get on Instagram. And I wanted to ask you guys a question about that later on. So all of the prop scripts are in envelopes, unlike the wardrobe department, which has the Polaroids taped to every scene with a description, etc. So we will take a peek into that in a little bit. And let me scroll back. And I love this when I don't have a guest, because I can scroll back and answer questions without being rude to people. Let's see. Sent, yes, okay. Your daughter flew into New Jersey tonight. I wonder if she is near Long Island. Oh, so Karen, you're in you're in England, so you don't know the proximity. Yeah, so Newark, New Jersey is about maybe 30 miles from Long Island. So yes, she is fairly close. Newark is fairly close to Long Island. If she flew into JFK, which is John F. Kennedy Airport, which I think used to be called Idlewild, she would be extremely close to Long Island. She certainly, probably, most likely flew over Long Island, depending on her approach. Yes, okay. Somebody here ask a question about, did anybody save scripts? So we talked about this in the previous thing about the large sculpture that Doris made, and there was an estate sale, and somebody put on YouTube a video of him walking through Doris's house, which was a little bit weird for me to see, because I've only been there for parties or events. But there were scripts there. So there were Everett Raymond scripts. When you're doing the show, there are hundreds of scripts circulated, and at the end, they get recycled. So a script while the show is going on is not a rare thing, because you have it, and then the next week goes, and so it's a commonplace thing. So I'm sure most of the actors have at least a handful of scripts, and when I dug into my treasure trove of Everett Raymond memorabilia, I realized I have a lot of scripts. Besides all of the props department and the wardrobe department, I have random scripts that I just threw in a box. Auction off some raise money. Yes, Karen. Yes. Some people want signed. Yes. So I have all of those props also. And let's talk about a little bit, about that season 3 series finale of How They Met. That was based very much, a portion of it on Ray's real life. So Ray Romano had a friend named Claude, who they're still very good friends, and Claude owned a futon company. And so Ray would deliver futons in real life. So at one point, I think Ray, and next time Ray's on, we'll have to ask him, he delivered, I think, a futon to Cher and futons to some famous people, and so Ray would drive a truck in Manhattan and the Triborough area, as they say, delivering futons. And this was when, for those of you of a certain age, futons were the hottest thing. Futon, for those of you that don't know, it's kind of an uncomfortable couch and an uncomfortable bed combined into one fell swoop there. So anyway, that got incorporated. So Phil, and I forget who wrote that episode, because I remember we were all in Phil's office at one point brainstorming on stuff. But that was the genesis of like, okay, how did they met? And it was a very endearing story that they put together, incorporating some of Ray's real life history into it. So the reason I picked that episode for the props to pull out the Polaroids is it's a unique thing because I think it's the first time, and those of you watching, because I have to remember, I think it's the first time we ever see Deborah's apartment. And so there's going to be a couple of items in there that we've never seen before and might not have had something in there is English. Future pluperfect, I think I'm trying to say. Something that we would never see again. And when we do get Rhonda on, and Donna Stamps, who was in the set decorating department, there's a delineation between what is a prop and what is just set decorating. So we have the big fork and spoon, okay? Remember, don't let the suitcase full of cheese be your big fork and spoon. At one point, it becomes a prop versus just set decorating sitting on the wall. So we'll talk when we have one of them on, and which leads me to a question that I have. Let me just scroll back so we don't get too far. I have a question. We're going to start up the YouTube channel, and we'll do live videos. And I'm just curious by some hearts here, if you guys would enjoy, if that would be more convenient going live on YouTube, or are you enjoying the Instagram? So I'll have to ask if you guys write in the comments or give me some hearts. That would be good, because on YouTube, what that allows me to do is reach a lot more people. So the people that aren't on Instagram, the people that worked on the show that aren't on Instagram, when I talk to them, I say, hey, can you come on? They're like, I'm not on Instagram. So by being on YouTube, it would allow me to interview a lot more people who were involved in the show. Yes, Karen, I must have a large garage/shed to keep all the scripts and keepsake in. Yes, I'm glad I held on to them too. Yes, they are in a very large, so in Los Angeles they don't have, and I'm assuming, I know everybody is around the world living in different situations, but in Los Angeles versus the East Coast of the United States, I don't know, I can't remember any house without a basement. You would have a basement. And in Los Angeles, it's not that common. So there's a lot of houses without a basement. And so, yes, I have a not as large a basement as I hoped, and it's much smaller because of all these scripts. Hello, Leo. Chilly today in Toronto? Yes, I can imagine. Yes, I saw that answer. Meredith, I think it was. Long Island's about 45 minutes from Newark. Yes, depending on the traffic, it could be 45 miles rather from Newark. Could be 45 minutes or 2.5 hours. Did Phil ever consider writing himself in an episode? Real Kenny Pooh. I don't think Phil, so that's a very good question. Did Phil ever consider writing himself into an episode? He obviously could have. And in those days, it was, and I've touched upon this before, in those days, the writers generally weren't going into the show per se. So Seinfeld is an exception, Ray is an exception, but the showrunner has so much responsibility that even when Phil would be away to do rehearsal or whatever, it was a little bit of a stressor. So whenever Phil was not in the writer's room, which was not that often, but even then we'd be like, oh, Phil, how long, if he said, oh, I have to step out for an hour, which was almost never. But even if he said, I have to step out to editing for an hour, we'd be like, okay, we're now going to go forward on the script without Phil. So you felt his absence. So I think even though Phil comes from an acting background, so it wasn't like, oh, let me try acting for the first time ever. He'd acted in a bunch of things. And if you ever get a chance, if you watch the movie Spanglish, which is directed by James L. Brooks, who I believe has won an Oscar for, he has some Oscar award. So he's won Oscars, but he has the, I think, original screenplay, directed by, best movie, whatever it is, the trifecta of Oscars, etc. So Phil is cast in that movie. So Phil is not foreign to acting. And next time he's on, we will ask him and I know he will have a funny answer. So, he very well could have, just like directing, and he directed pretty much every episode, even though we had directors. Phil had his hand, so he could have directed as well. Okay. Saved by Joyfully, you like Instagram better. Love the Instagram. I want Instagram. Instagram is better. YouTube sounds great. Do YouTube. Love it over here, but understand if you go to YouTube. We can do both. I'm looking into how we simulcast, so it is. Redlands, Redhead, YouTube is better. You're in Redlands, California. You love Insta Live as there's not too many of us. Oh, and you get to answer our questions. True. Karen, I think it is a more intimate platform, Instagram. So we can keep them both, I think. Must have a basement. Yes, Barbara. Barbara, you're in Long Island or you're in Boston? I can't remember. I hope I didn't insult you with either of those guesses. But yes, basement. Would you really interact and ask questions on YouTube? Yes. So on YouTube, it's just as interactive, potentially. And don't worry, I'm not going to all of a sudden disappear. In LA, a basement is a former bomb shelter. Very funny, Bobby, and true. If on the YouTube, you can also put the videos into podcast form. Yes, we were working on that, and we're working on a website. All Futon experience involves being a drunk college kid. Hard to imagine Cher buying one. That's funny. Didn't he make Taxi? Yes. James L. Brooks is a giant in the industry. So he's made a lot of things. Taxi, he was instrumental in The Simpsons. I believe he was on the Mary Tyler Moore show. And Phil would yell at me if he's like, how do you not know that? Yes, and he is good friends with Phil now, more so, I think, than when he initially met him for Spanglish. Phil plays a chef in Spanglish, which is appropriate if you see somebody feed Phil. He's into food big time. Hello, everybody. Yes, the Polaroids. And when I hold up the Polaroids, I will also post them as well. All right. Great. So the other questions before we delve into the... and give me some hearts if you liked the How We Met episode. Yes. Okay. Sorry. I'm racing through these questions. I had a few other questions, which was, this relates to the aesthetic of the show. For those, since we're talking props, etc. What era do you think Frank and Marie's house is decorated? In what style? Is it the 50s? Is it the 60s? Is it the 70s? What would you, if you had to bet a little money on it, which of course we are not, what era would you say Frank and Marie's house was decorated in? Or in proper English, in which era was it decorated? Spanglish is an awesome movie. Yes, very entertaining, funny, great. Yeah, 70s. So 70s. So it feels 70s, but if you do the math, if Ray was about 34 when the series I think his character was around 34, 35, that would make him born in the early 60s. So Saved by Joyfully. Yes, 1960s marble grapes on the coffee table. Yeah. So I think the math says the 60s. Now, that doesn't mean they couldn't have upgraded with a renovation in the 70s, but I don't see Frank approving some kind of costly renovation. Did any of the cast tweak a scene / script if they were character wouldn't be what the script when cameras rolled? Do what the script. So, okay, your question is basically, did the characters want to tweak anything if they didn't feel that their character would do it? I will take us through a whole week of an episode, but in general, it's such a collaborative process, and you have 5 days to tweak it. So that would be brought up way before shoot night. So any of the Phil was very open, so any of the characters could have that discussion after the table read or any day during run through. They could say, Phil, it just feels like, I don't know that Deborah would do this. And Phil's like, well, let's figure out, tell me why you think so. So nobody ever on show night pulls that change, because I've mentioned this in the past. every script is numbered, and when I pull out the prop script, my guess is that is numbered as well. So every single line in every script on shoot night is very specific because there's a whole bunch of people waiting to hear the cue for their next move. When do the cameras move? When does the switcher bring the image to the audience that they need to see, etc.? So the plastic couch, Tina, the plastic on the couch is eternally Italian. It lives through all the eras. That's fun. That's funny. The vinyl couch cover is pure 60s. Bobby, yes. Let's see. Yes, great. These are all great questions. So we think 60s or 70s for Frank and Marie's house. Do we like the call out the colors? We're trying to design the color palette for the website and also for anything that we're able to make available to you guys. All right. Now, let me take out this script because when I have a guest, I like to do an hour. When I don't have a guest, I like to keep it to around 30 minutes, if so. Yes, the question back then was that my sister in the photo? Yes. On Instagram, that was my sister who was in that episode, which I will tell you the story about. Okay, so here we go. This is the first time this has been open since probably 1999 because there's no reason to go back. So pull out this script without ripping anything. Okay. So again, I know it's backwards, but that will say props numbered. Okay. So that tells me that, and props has two scripts. There's two people in the props department, Don Rosemond and Rhonda Robinson. So the props department numbered, so that's what I said before. So there you go, numbered there. So let me take a peek, and again, inside. So so here, so even though they're backwards, as Bobby has said, you can look at it in the mirror. There we go. There is line number 1. That is scene A, teaser. It says line number 1, line number 2, line number 3, line number 4. You guys are familiar with the numbers. So the reason that they number them, a couple of reasons, but the main reason is if we stop in the middle of the show and they don't say, go back to when Ray says, hi, Deborah, how are you? They go back to, go to line 6. Everyone just looks on the script, line 6, boom. The cameras know where to go. The switcher knows where to go. Everyone knows where the sound department has to know where to go. So on this, we see some of Rhonda's notes, which are backwards again. And so let me just read them to you. I don't know. Two placemats, 2 pots. Okay, so this is her listing the things that are needed on the script and just paging through. There's another page with a lot of notes, which I'll post these. So these are probably all of the items that are in that scene that she needs to have. So, and for the most part, there's very few notes within this script. I'm just reading. So in scene A, so here I've mentioned this to you before, the end, for example, of the script is the tag. So there's the tag. What line are we going to? There's line 4. Go to line 4. Okay. And so in the tag, which often gets cut, that's okay. I just want some more of that chicken. Oh, that line probably stayed in. Here's some more chicken. And Deborah says, how is it? It's great. Yeah, it's still great. And you're still a good kisser. Okay, so that's the end of the show, and that's line 10 on there. So now, here we go. Let's see. There's a bunch of Polaroids. It's very exciting. All right, so let's see the teaser. So this must be, okay, sorry. I will post all of these. All right, so in no particular order or some order, that looks like Deborah's kitchen. Give me some hearts if you can tell if that is Deborah's kitchen. I believe so. I have not seen the episode recently. So here we go, looking at props department. The backsplash looks, yes, interesting. So there's Raymond sitting at the table. Is that Frank and Marie's table or is that Deborah's table? Hard for me to tell. I will post it. But a great shot going to 99. Here we go. This looks like, oh yes, so now this is Frank and Marie's. There we go. We are looking at the props photos for the first time ever here on ELR 360 Live. So that looks like the pass-through. Okay, this next one I think you'll recognize. And Bobby, if you guys watched, my friend Bobby, who was an extra, I believe he has that chrome piece that is on back. That looks like Life cereal. That was a popular cereal for those not in the United States. But that silver thing, so is a, like, I think a flour, sugar, etc. type of thing. Okay, this must be Deborah's. Was that, so the radiator, that must have been the corner of her apartment, I'm guessing. There we go. Hello, everybody. Yes, here we go. Some more. These are great to see. So that, it looks like the coffee table in Ray and Deborah's house, but could this be, the couch doesn't look like it. So could this be, let's see how close this will focus. Yes. A little bit of a time machine here. Okay, here we go. This has to be Deborah's apartment. There's her iron. So for those of you just joining us, we're showing prop department Polaroids from season 3 finale, How They Met. And that looks like Deborah's apartment. Let's try and get rid of the glare. There we go. Who would have thought? Yes, okay, that's so it looks like the popcorn or whatever, that salad bowl, for those of you that saw the episode recently, so she must have had salad, and props department handles all the food. Yes. Whose idea was it to call Deborah a funny nickname every time he came home? That was, I believe, Raymond just did it, and then he would come up with them. There we go, Ray and Deborah's kitchen. And again, same applies to the wardrobe department as the props department. You're trying not to interrupt or in any way be noticed. So that's why you're going to see the actors not facing the camera. So it's not that Rhonda is not a good photographer. It's just that she's just trying to grab those props. So that must be, okay, I need 5 lemons out or whatever, and I'm making lemon chicken, I guess, I assume. Yes, and so here's another, wow, a lot of pictures of that napkin holder, etc. Maybe we should try and replicate stuff. There's some mail that probably goes to Lynbrook, and I believe yes, there we go. There you go. So I think if you've been following me every Sunday, you realize the amount of effort that goes into the attention to detail on everything. So there we go. That's a long time in their kitchen. So that's, yeah. So for continuity, again, we brought it up. Look at that mail that has to remain the same in between scenes. And so for you, the viewer, when you go, hey, that moved or something, that's because the props department or somebody dropped the ball and didn't notice it. All right, here we go. Another shot, little cutting board action. Which those are tough because you're live action cutting, and so you have to go back to a neutral start position. So they usually had at least, I think, 3 of everything. This is a great shot of the twins and Madeline, so that's their table. I'm assuming that maybe was in the teaser. If we're going to a flashback episode, my guess is that Raymond didn't like the lemon chicken, and here we go, something that is, yes, did something happen there? It looks a mess, but their house usually did. Okay, here's a great shot. Now, this is from the tag. Here's a great shot of their kitchen, their stove. Let's see how close this will, all right, that's too close. This is great to see. This is really great to see. It's such a time, so here we go. I'm guessing lemon chicken again. So next time you watch that episode, you'll see the stuff that I know that I took for granted, the amount of effort that they have to stay on top of. And here's the table again. There we go. Raymond sitting there, showing that for continuity. And last 2 photos here from the finale of season 3. There we go. Is that perhaps Deborah's? That looks like Peter's hand. That looks like Peter Boyle's hand, but I don't know if it was. Oh, so there you go. There is pivotal to the episode. There's Deborah, there's Patty and Ray, and it looks like perhaps there was an incident near the refrigerator. So I think, and now this must be Deborah's little, whatever you would call it, kitchenette with her glasses. So those are the Polaroids, first time ever. So we only have 209 or so more of those to look at, which is really great. So let me go back and answer some questions here. Donnell, once you watch an episode a dozen times, you do start noticing props and continuity and other fun stuff. That is funny. So we used to say in the writer's room, Phil would say, look, if they're paying attention to how many lemons are on the cutting board, we have a very boring show. Karen, I'm a stickler for continuity. Really annoys me when hairstyles, fringes, etc. look different in different shots, or if arms are folded in one shot and then from behind arms are resting on legs. Yes. And it's a tough thing to do because when you're in editing, a lot of times the performance might be really great. And you're like, oh, what did they do? And the editor will sit there and bounce between shots. So you're sitting in there editing and you go, Frank's hand drops in the next take. So it's going to notice it. And you have to make the decision. Is the performance that much better that you're hoping that nobody does notice that his hand has dropped? Yes, when he knocked her out. Hello, Karen. Yes, you didn't see any errors. Yes, I hope so. Is there a real life story is a real life backstory? Yes, regarding the affinity for Deborah's Lemon Chicken. Now, it's funny because we just went, the writers, Phil and the writers and Ray, we went to a place, Rayo's in Hollywood, which is also originally in New York. It's still there in New York. It's the hardest table to get in Manhattan. And lemon chicken is one of their specialties. And I think, because I talked to Phil about it a while ago, and I think Phil said he just liked the sound of it, lemon chicken. And so once it became a thing, it became a thing. So I don't know I don't know if there is something more to that. But remind me the next time Phil comes on for us to ask him. All right. I'm looking for, here we go, more questions. This is a great visit. You were hoping for a cookbook of Marie's recipes and, of course, Deborah's Lemon Chicken. Yes, you never know. It's still possible. Karen in Plymouth, correct? What do the writers do during filming? Are they on stage for script changes, or do they just enjoy the show? So, Karen, nobody just enjoys the show who works on the show, unfortunately. So, yeah, so there's something called Video Village, and there's monitors during the filming. So Phil is sitting there at the monitor, and usually the writers are there or at another, and we used to make fun, we call it the JV monitor. So in high school here, at least, you would have the varsity team and the junior varsity team. So Phil and the director would be sitting there, and the editor at the main monitors, let's say, main Video Village. And then sometimes the writers would sit across the stage at another, you're seeing the exact same shots, you're just not at ground zero, for lack of a better thing. So the writers are watching every single scene. Every single moment you're watching it, or you should be watching it. And especially if it's your script, you know it so intimately. I mean, we all know the scripts very intimately, but if there's any moment that's not working, because after each take, Phil would go and give notes, and the technical director or the director would give notes for camera, etc. So you're glued to the monitor watching to make sure nothing goes wrong. And if something does go wrong, you want to be able to give a suggestion. And so usually you might say, because everything went through Phil, you would say, oh, Phil, if Peter could just pause a little bit more before he says that line. Okay, yeah, great. And Phil would take those notes and then give all of his notes to the actors. And usually, there was no note that Phil missed for the most part. So he would just say, got that. Okay, got that. And so we were, yes, for the whole filming, you are ready. And if a joke doesn't work, if the 200 people decide, you know what, you might think you're funny, but we don't think you're so funny, and the joke just falls flat, we would sit there and huddle and be like, okay, what's another line for this take? And so, yes, you're always watching, you're always involved right up to the cut. And I do know that on other shows that I've been on that I've visited, they don't necessarily do last minute changes and tweaking. And you do want to avoid it. But if the audience doesn't laugh, that's one thing that you have to come up with right away, a new joke. The Angry Family was from a real life situation. Yes, that was Phil's life exactly. His son, Ben Rosenthal, they came to the school, the parents did, and he said the Angry Family. And so, Karen, yes, 2 years on Instagram Live. That is a long time. We have a lot more stories to tell. Why was Deborah able to cook in the Thanksgiving show where she cooks the fish, but then in other shows she could not cook? Excellent question, Sunset Forever. I'm guessing to service the story, but I think if I'm remembering correctly, it was just the outrage of her. That was Turkey or Fish episode. The outrage of her even making fish. So it was a craw in Marie's wherever. And so I think that's why it helped serve a story. But excellent, excellent, excellent question. Hello, Mary, I believe in Australia. I could eat this the rest of my life. Yes. The beauty of, and that's why you don't want to do too many, the beauty of a flashback episode is you are completely free to make these jokes that the audience now will find funny. So the director of Cleopatra had to cut a massive master shot because of an extra selling gelato in the scene. That's funny. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that you don't think about is involved in the making of a movie. And so there have been many times when we would be in editing and Phil would be like, oh, this take is perfect. And then the editor would say, camera moves. What? Yeah, the camera moves. Watch. The camera does a bump, and now it's like, so are you going to put a bumpy shot into a show? You really, really can't. So, all right, a couple last questions. This has been great. So I think the conclusion of going to YouTube is go to YouTube, but don't not be on Instagram. I think that might be a triple negative. These are, so many great comments. And again, when this gets posted, all these questions go away. So that's why I try and repeat these questions out loud for the future viewers. Episode was on, Andrea, this episode was on this past week on TV Land. You watched it. He kept knocking her down by mistake. So funny. Yes, great. So the funny names. Okay, this is great. Any other comments? And we've concluded that Frank and Marie's house is 60s, really 60s with some 70s flair. So what do you think Deborah's house, Ray and Deborah's house is? Is that the 80s? Would you say that's the early 80s? Would you say that's the late 80s? All right. You can definitely comment down below. So once again, I have more treats coming, but here we go. Yes. The dinette, and then this, to me, is the best Polaroid of the whole batch. The photo of Patty, Deborah, and Ray, who was in awkwardly in a suit jacket, and the spilled items on the floor and the plate. So my guess is she had to they had to match that, which is no small task. All right, I will see you all. Thank you so much for your questions and your answers within the questions of other people. I really appreciate that. And chime in about anything you see in Frank and Marie's house that tells you the exact year that you might think it is. Early 80s? Yes. And yes, okay. Your San Francisco is really American. Garage sale, great. This is great. Wasn't All in the Family set used? Yes. Wasn't The All in the Family set used in Frank and Marie's house. Yes, a portion of the pass-through, I think. Hello, Isabella from Melbourne, Australia. I think a portion of the pass-through was from All in the Family, which, as we all know, if you're from the U.S., was a giant hit show in the U.S., based on a British show, but it was a giant hit show in the 70s. I believe 70 through 78 or something like that. All right. See you guys next week. Thank you so much. I will answer as many questions as I can during the week, and if not, we'll see you next week with a guest. Thank you, thank you, thank you.